And welcome back to the channel. On this video, I want to talk about something a little bit different. Let's say we have $5,000 to spend on a bike, electric bike. Okay, because not all of us have $5,000, but let's assume for the purposes of this video that we have $5,000 to spend. What e-bike would you pick? Let's say we're only going to do one e-bike. You're going to only buy one e-bike for that money. So you got to pick the best one that you think you would like for that money. And the trick is you got to spend all of your money, or you can spend less than $5,000, but it can't be on anything besides the bike. It's the bike only. So if the bike's $3,000 and that's what you decide the bike you want, then that's the bike you get. This is just a fun little thing. I just want to see what people choose for their bike. And I'm going to let you know what I choose for my bike and what are runners up. Okay, so first of all, my latest and greatest bike right now is the Lyric Graffiti X. Well, I'm not going to choose that bike because I already own it. Otherwise, it would be in the mix as well. So let's quickly talk about that bike first, because that could be very well your pick. So that bike is listed right now at $4,599, so a little bit under the $5,000. And let's assume for the purposes of this video that you're not going to be charged shipping. Let's say the shipping is free and there's no sales tax. Let's just make the bike as close as you can get, or right up to $5,000, but you can't go over. So the Graffiti X, as I mentioned, is one that's my current big bike, my favorite bike to ride. And as I mentioned, that bike is $4,600 right now, $4,599. And that bike is a 60 volt with a 3,000 watt motor. And the bike is just an absolute joy to ride. So I'll leave a link for this bike, the Lyric Graffiti X, and all the other bikes that I'm going to talk about, well, 3 or 4 of them here, in the descriptions. So if you want to go and check out these bikes, you can. And so let's start with my first bike. I have little notes here that I made to tell you what my bikes are of choice. So first of all, I would really like this bike, but there's one thing that holds me back from this bike, and so let's talk about it first. So that's the Beachman 64. It's a really classic looking motorcycle from the 70s style, and this bike is a 72 volt. They claim the motor, now this company is from Canada. They're actually in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, Beachman. And so this bike has a Honda frame that they're using, motorcycle frame, the Honda CB125. If you're familiar with that bike, you'll know the frame that I'm talking about for this bike, the Beachman 64. So it, as I mentioned, it's a 72 volt. It has a 500 watt motor, limited 500 watt motor. Well, the 500 watts is simply because in Canada, that's the maximum wattage they can have. But the bike definitely has a larger motor than that. I believe the motor is 3,000 watts. I can't get confirmation on that, but I believe it to be 3,000 watts. If somebody knows different or knows the exact amount, maybe you can fire us off a comment and set us straight on that. So the bike has, because it's only 500 watt limited, they have the speed limit with Canadian laws there, class 2, 20 miles per hour. The off-road speed limit is 30 miles per hour. And that's the one thing that's going to hold me back from choosing this bike as my number one. I think unless that speed is higher than 30 miles per hour, I'd want it to be closer to 40, 45 miles an hour. Just to have that speed, not necessarily to be able to use it all the time, but just it is there if you ever need to use it. And I should mention the price too. The price of this bike is $4,600. That's the price. I believe that's Canadian and American. It doesn't matter whether you're from one country or the other right now. It sounds like they're both the same price. This bike has a 40 amp hour battery. It has a weight limit of 300 pounds. It has folding bike pedals and pegs. So if you don't want to use the pedals, you can flip up the pedals and you have pegs there to use instead. And that's what I'd be using all of the time, dare I say, because to me this is more, a lot of people out there are going to say this is a motorcycle, but it technically has pedals, So, but it's a bike that you would not be pedaling, trust me. Hydraulic disc brakes it has. It has full lights and horn. It has a steering lock and anti-theft alarm. And the bike, as I mentioned, is made in Canada. And the bike weighs 220 pounds, so a little bit on the hefty side. And did I mention the battery? It is a 40 amp hour battery, 72 volts. And I'm not sure what the range is. It's there, I believe, on their site, but I failed to write that down. But I will leave links in the description for all of this. Okay, so that's the bike that would be like my honorable mention for the fact that it only goes 30 miles an hour. I can't pick it. So here's the bike that I'm going to pick as my choice. Now this bike is $4,999 Canadian, and I believe it's the same American. And it's the Emmo Nomado. Emmo Nomado is my choice. This would be my pick. The motor, once again, because this company is also in Canada, is listed as a 500 watt super torque motor, a QS. 500 watts, and I believe this motor is more like 3,000 watts as opposed to the 500, but for legal reasons and all, it's 500 watts. It has dual piston hydraulic brakes. The battery is a 72 volt, 50 amp hour. Now they have different batteries. They have the acid battery, a 20 amp, or you can get lithium ion 30 amp or 50. I'm choosing 50 for the purposes of this video, and plus I'd pick the larger battery. And it's still the $49.99. The others are cheaper. So if we're going to max out at 5,000, I'm going with the biggest battery that I can get on the bike. This bike has a range of 60 miles, which is pretty good. I'd say that's very good for a 50 amp hour battery. That sounds right to me. It has a load capacity of 620 pounds, so quite a bit. That's probably including the weight of the bike. The bike weight, speaking of that, is 265 pounds. So if it is 620, that would leave you what, 355. So still lots of weight for you and your cargo as well, or a second rider, which this bike and the Beachman 64 accommodates 2 riders. It does have full lights, and it has a top speed. Now this is what I heard from someone who sells this bike. The top speed is around 70 kilometers an hour. If that's true, this bike is 45 miles per hour. Perfect. Perfect. That's a good speed. Top speed. Something else it has. Now both of these bikes, the Beachman 64 and the Nomado, Emmo Nomado, have motorcycle tires. I should be mentioning that too. But something this bike has that I really like, and the Beachman 64 may also have it, but this one definitely has it on their site saying it does have reverse. That is a good handy feature to have. I really like that. It has also dual kickstands. It has the center kickstand or the side kickstand. Very handy. I like that. And so that would be my pick, and that bike is at $49.99 Canadian and American. So that would be my choice. Leave a comment in the comments below if there's something you like or you know these bikes and want to put in a comment or two on them. Go right ahead. We'd be very happy to hear from you. I'm going to give honorable mentions. I mentioned the Lyric Graffiti X already. Now that's a bike that I already own, so I'm eliminating that just for the fact that I already have it. So why would I need it again? But you out there might choose that one. That's a 60 volt. The other one here I'm going to mention I'm going to quickly mention the Javelin by Spark Cycle Works. Is another good street bike. And then there's also this one here that's very intriguing to me. I'd like to try this bike. I wonder what this bike would actually be like, because it's a good comparable. I get a lot of people talking about the comparison between this and the Graffiti X, but this bike is 72 volts as opposed to the Graffiti X, which is 60, and that's the Spark Cycle Works Brute. This bike, I'll just give a couple of things on it. It's a 72 volt, 30 amp hour battery. The motor is 4,000 watt. They use a far driver controller. It's 100, I believe it's a 100 amp controller. And yeah, that's a bike that always gets compared with the Graffiti X. And the price is right there, $45.95, $4 less than the Graffiti X. So there you go. That's some of the bikes that I would either choose or already own. And let me know in the comments what you would do with $5,000. Another bike that might be, maybe you don't like this style of bike. This happens to be my style of bike, the Moped-Style Scrambler. If you like, say, more like a mountain bike or cruiser, you might choose like a wired, the Predator maybe, or something like that. That's a dual motor. I don't know, but leave a comment in the comments below. Maybe there's a bike that you like that I should know about. Maybe there's another bike that's right around 5,000 that's the style that I like, and I don't even know it exists. So let me know in the comments below about that. So that's going to do it for this video. Kind of a fun one here, and we're playing with make-believe money. It's always nice to spend money that you wish you had, but anyway, I thought that would be a fun topic to talk about. So thank you very much for joining me on this video. And if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, thank you very much. Just hit that subscribe button. If you want to be notified as to when the next video comes up on the channel, just hit that notification bell. And if you want to comment on this video or any other videos, go ahead and leave that in the comments below. And once again, thank you for joining me on this video. And until next time, keep your wheels on the road. See you later.